Hey guys, welcome back to Bee's Cottage. I'm Jordan, and this is part 2 of my series of taking out the oak trees. Last week, I explained that a simple task that was supposed to just take one afternoon turned into an entire week of drama when we tried to remove 2 oak trees and trim 1 limb. In part 1, what we looked at was how we found chain link and termites, and that turned into its own drama. And today we're going to go into part 2. And true to Bee's Cottage history, nothing is easy. So if you thought part 2 you were going to come back and things were going to be smooth sailing, that's not what happens here. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Give me a like and subscribe. Before we get too far, I just want to give you a quick recap of part 1. If you remember from last week, there was a plan to remove a limb from the large tree at the front of the house rather than taking the entire tree down. That happened on my side. In this episode, we're going to talk about what happens on the neighbor's side of the tree as he does the same thing, removing limbs on his side of the tree. Just for a reminder, here's just a quick recap of what we talked about last week, even before the limbs got trimmed. You can see that there's a limb, big limb here. It's kind of overhanging the house. Next week, the neighbor trims his side of the tree. So, you can see how badly that's overhanging his part of the house there. So he really does need to have that taken down because that's a massive tree and it has a split that goes right down the middle here. Now that you've been reminded of that, I'm going to fast forward and show you what the tree looks like now, after the tree has been trimmed. Since I want to respect my neighbor's privacy, I did not actually film the day of the actual removal of the limbs on his side because he was there. He had a separate company working who I had not spoken to about recording. So I don't have any videos to show of that portion. However, I did film a reaction. And my reaction at the time was not great. So I'm gonna spare you the 10-minute long video and I'm just gonna show you some highlights from my reaction at that point in time. The process of working with my neighbor has not been easy on this project. So weeks later, after going back and forth, and there's a business partner that he can't find, and he's going to give me money. My neighbor decided that rather than being a kind neighbor, he wanted to, stick it to me and prove something. Winter Park prides itself, and one of the reasons I am happy to be a resident of Winter Park, not a landlord of Winter Park, a resident of Winter Park, is because the people in this community, we care about the community, we care about its appearance, and I care about giving back to the community and making sure that everything I am doing to my property is beautifying it, not just for myself, but for everybody who drives past my house. And so I was incredibly disheartened to see that my neighbor was trying to save a little bit of money and to prove a point. And he proved it. He proved something about himself. The bottom line is that I'm going to be landscaping around this tree. And I understand that this is not the beautiful reveal that I had initially had planned for you guys. Okay, now that I'm in a calmer place though, I'd like to just review the facts of the situation and show you where the tree is at now, a year later, after the tree trimming. So that way you can see the results of this and what it really means for the tree and both owners. So let's go outside and let's take a look at that together. And I want to first talk about the structure of the tree. This was the original reason the arborist for the city recommended that the tree be completely taken down. And I'm going to point out this split right here. But there's actually 2 limbs that meet and water is gathering in the middle and seeping inside of the trunk and causing it to rot from within. And so the assessment was at the time that this is structurally a tree in decline and it would be safest to remove the tree. The second item that is going on with this tree is when the neighbor's tree service came, they made improper cuts when they removed the limbs over the neighbor's house. In doing that, that has further exposed the tree to more moisture, more rot, more disease, more insects, which is, in the arborist's opinion, potentially going to speed up the decline of the tree. So in his words, they didn't do the tree any favors. So that's issue number 2. The third thing that we have going on is actually with the roots. Because of the water seeping through the middle of the tree, that's also impacting the roots of the tree. I had another arborist who was out here working on stump grinding, and he actually probed the roots of the tree and found decay in the roots of the tree. And so that means that same water is getting in, causing wood rot, and eventually with a tree of this size, it just means it won't be able to hold up to big winds or weather events. And we get that here in Florida. So in the estimation of these professionals, they believe that the life cycle of this tree is 3 to 5 years. And we are now a year into that. And so now we are watching this. The good news for me is that this tree is not a threat to the structure of my house. According to the arborist, they believe it would fall away from my house, but it is a very large tree and it would be very destructive if it did fall. In the meantime, what have we done? We made the decision that because of financing, we're gonna wait on taking this out, and whenever my neighbor has the funds available, then this is something that he'll be able to take on. And the fence I reinstalled at my expense, and I have just left chain link, which you know how much fun that is, but and installed the rest of the fencing around it. And speaking of fencing, let me show you that next.
But there's some lessons hard for me to learn. Like good boys don't play with bad girls. Good boys stay away from them bad girls. Them bad girls, yeah. The good ones just can't get me high, so I'll be falling all my life for one of these bad girls. You bad girl, but you do me so good. Friends call me a dummy, cause she taking all my money, but I make it rain like 24/7. If it mean a little time with you, break my heart and leave me hurt. The next one just gon' do me worse. So if they all no good, I'll just be bad with you. Cause my mother told me as a child, boy, don't play around with fire, cause you might just end up getting burned. And I know the wicked never rest, so I always try my best. But there's some lessons hard for me to learn. Like good boys don't play with bad girls.
Okay, sorry, popping them on.